What do I need to know about the market I'm going into?
Um, the market you're going into. It's difficult to answer, but because each commodity is determined by different factors. I will always advise whoever wants to be an exporter to do a thorough research. When I say thorough, I mean get down to the basics. Meet the people who are the real farmers. Meet people who are involved in the manufacturing uh, industry as well. Meet the people who are involved in the processing and packaging industry, because a lot of these products have so many rules and regulations which you will never be taught in school. You have to learn it the hard way, or you pay somebody who has already learned it the hard way to be your guide. And that's why we oftentimes advise people who are going into exports, attach yourself to those who have been doing it to mentor you. If you jump into the market, you get burnt and discouraged. It's a very beautiful industry, but that's a simple advice. Find somebody who's already involved in it, attach to the person, and get trained on the job, because it's a very dynamic market. It's not something that is definitive. Anything is dynamic. It's not static. Anything can happen at any point in time in any of the commodities markets.
Who is my target?
Your target has to be a country where there is a vacuum for a particular commodity which is in excess in your own country. That is your target. Your target can even be local. You could be staying in somewhere like Nasarawa State, and in Nasarawa State you have large quantities of a particular product that the people in Lagos don't have. Lagos now becomes your target. You're staying in a place like Kogi State, where you probably have large quantities of cassava, and your target market could be China, where the cassava is needed in high quantity. So instead of bothering yourself visiting all the embassies in the country, you just pick a particular one which you know that country needs your product. Or when you visit the people at the NEPC or the Chambers of Commerce and Industry, you tell them specifically, look, this is what I have in large quantity. Give me the market for this.
How do I determine the market size?
The market size for a commodity you cannot determine, but on your own. The market size of the commodity is usually determined by the people in that country that you're exporting to. A very good example is palm oil, red palm oil, edible palm oil. One of the reasons why edible palm oil will be a sellout in a place like the UK is because there is a large population of Nigerians living there. And there's a large population of foreigners who rely on edible palm oil for cooking who are living there. The people in that country, the original indigens there, they don't use palm oil for cooking. So, but they use palm oil in their industry a lot, especially in soap making, generally the cosmetic industry. Palm oil is needed. So in Europe, for instance, where there's a large population of Africans, you have two different markets. One is the market that uses the palm oil for the industry, and another one, the second one is the market that uses your palm oil for cooking. And so that's the simplest way to determine the size of your market. You look at global statistics of and the kind of food people there eat, and in the case of things like shea butter, You look at the industrial uses.
Which bodies carry out testing and certification?
Uh, well, that is determined by the country where you are. In a country like Nigeria, we have the SGS, the COBACT, um, NAFDAC, the Standard Organization of Nigeria. In fact, that should have been the first. Organization of Nigeria, SON. Very, very important. You can't do without them. The Ministry of Health, especially those who are at the Nigerian Port Authority. I think in Nigeria, once you take out the Standard Organization of Nigeria, NAFDAC, Ministry of Health, SGS, every other thing falls into place.
What documents do I need before I can export to my buyer?
The documents you need: first, a copy of your business license, which is called the Corporate Affairs Commission Certificate. It always has an RC number at one of the corners, at the top left or top right. And you will need an export certificate from a valid export certificate from the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. You will need an NAFDAC certificate, because the commodity you're trying to export is classified as food in our country. I think in other country, every other country has its own body for that. You need a pro forma invoice from the which you generate for the customer, which is actually determined by the purchase order which was sent to you by the customer. You need a CCI. CCI means Clean Certificate of Inspection, which is issued by COBACT. You also need, very important, this is very important, an NXP form. And that's where you need your bank. A lot of people think you can just go into exporting without your bank. It's not possible. The NXP form is a sextuplet form which is issued by your bank to you. In another video, I'll bring a sample of the NXP form and show you the different agencies of government which each of the forms are going to be sent to. You can't do without the NXP form. And then phytosanitary certificate. Let me repeat that. Phytosanitary certificate. You also need the fumigation certificate, and you need the NICIMA certificate. NICIMA, NICCIMA. The phytosanitary certificate, the NICIMA certificate, the product certificate, the fumigation certificate. In another video we're going to do later, I'm going to bring samples of them up and show you so that you know the differences between them, and it just to make it easier for you. And you also need the payment details from the buyer. For people in Nigeria, oftentimes the payment details is usually in foreign currency, US dollars, euro, pound sterling, and because of something like that, you will need a domiciliary account.
What are the shipping conditions?
Whoo! There are plenty. But in summary, okay, it's always better, I think, you get schooled on this before you go into it. There are terms like freight on delivery. They call it FOB here. What that means is the buyer pays you as you drop the goods at the port of exit. You understand what I'm saying? And that can come in different forms. It could also be that the buyer and you agree that you'll be paid using what is called a letter of credit. For Nigeria, that doesn't always work, but then that is where your bank comes into play, because without your bank, a letter of credit is useless to you, the exporter. You can't do anything with it. It's only your bank that can activate the money which is inputted into the letter of credit for you to collect money when your actually this now depends on the clauses inputted into the letter of credit, whether the goods will get to the buyer before you are paid 90 days, 30 days, 60 days, or whether you'll be paid part of the money before the goods get there. The letter of credit is in different forms, but your bankers are the best to advise you on that. We also have the TT. TT means teletransfer. That's to say, money is transferred to you. We call it wire transfer as well. It's just like Western Union. Okay, money is transferred to you, but this time around, it's not transferred to you in your name. It's transferred to you using your company's name, your company's domiciliary account number, and details. Uh, you need your account officer to help you with all that details from your bank, from your local bank. And payments could also be made using checks, using cashable bank guarantee. Um, but all those ones need to be sorted out between you and the buyer. Most importantly, the shipping cost. You could either pick to you would handle the charges for paying for the shipment, or the buyer will handle that. In another tutorial which we will design, we're going to talk in depthly about CIF and FOB. Okay, so that you out there, the first timer, the new person, will not get caught in between. You understand what it means to tell your buyer, look, this is how much this thing is if I am going to do CIF so port in your country, or if I'm going to do FOB so port in my country, right?
What are the different payment terms?
The payment terms I talked about earlier, I mixed it with the shipping stuff, the conditions, because they are all intertwined. You can't do one without the other. Payment terms are of different categories or different types. Shouldn't say categories, different types. It's either you're being paid by wire transfer, or you're being paid by LC, that's letter of credit, or you're being paid using cashable bank guarantee, or you're being paid using it's actually a new system which I have tried, and you can also try it. I'm going to talk about that in the next video.